The bombshell was just released. Trump has taken over Gaza. We did it live. We covered it live. I'm still kind of like unpacking my thoughts. Crazy bombshell. It's just bombshell after bombshell after bombshell. Trump continues to have our head spinning on everything going. And I want to share some thoughts on this. So we know that the legacy media, the lunatic terrorist organization as they are themselves, would probably prefer to keep things the way they are and keep chaos and mass murder and destabilization going, since that's what they're always promoting everywhere, destroying everything they touch. Literally, the left destroys everything it touches. So one side of, I think, a lot of our brains is that we want to get the hell out of this mess. And we don't want to be, we kind of want to just, we've sent how many trillions of dollars to the Middle East? And we've been right in the middle of that mess for decades. And people are wanting to back out, which is understandable. I was kind of thinking that would happen too. Netanyahu did come. You know, he's sort of at a weak position these days. He's lost a lot of popularity. And I think I'm just going to go with trusting Trump in that. I think he knows what he's doing here. And he's using it as an opportunity. Like, we basically just gained the Gaza Strip, just like that. It's our land now, is my takeaway. And he said, step aside, bitches. We've had enough of this. It doesn't work. How many videos are out there about how impossible it is to deal with the Middle East debacle? I mean, how many videos out there? It's the easiest thing to talk about as far as a problem, but it's the hardest thing to solve in the world. We've been hearing that for years and decades. Well, problem solved. Gaza Strip's ours. We're going to bring peace to the Middle East. It wouldn't surprise me if it's like the next Dubai out there. I'm just going to go with that. Could be wrong. Could be a horrible move. Could be a horrible decision. Trump is just like, we're going to have Greenland. I don't know. We're going to have Canada. Let's throw in Mexico. Let's just make Mexico. Let's make Mexico great again. Why doesn't Mexico just become a part of the United States instead of run by the freaking cartel? All right. So Trump's like on this path to heal the world. I think he'll use it for trade. I think and we have no idea even probably the depths of his play. From after hearing it and letting it settle, I mean, based off a whole bunch of things he's already said in the past about this, I think he's had this in mind for a long time. This wasn't a quick knee-jerk decision. I think he's been game planning, and he's probably about 100 steps ahead of us on this one. So it's like he's just dealing with the problem and just putting it to bed. And I think his goal is that we end up profiting on it in the future. These are my thoughts on it. Feel free to comment. I'm still trying to piece this whole thing together in the Middle East. I think people have strong stances on it, and they haven't done the research. They just have knee-jerk opinions, which is my number one biggest pet peeve. It's one of the biggest problems It's an epidemic we have of people talking about shit they have no idea of what they're talking about, and we need to stop it. You have these strong opinions and you don't know what's going on. And especially in this case, I can tell you right now, you will literally hear the exact opposite narrative, even from people within the Republican Party. And the more you look into it, the more your head's just going to spin, the more confused you'll be. And so we don't know what the hell's going on. There are people who are deep, deep, deep in this for many years, who even live out there, that are from America. And there's a lot of intel, and and that's smart to get that intel and then compare it with other intel with actual people that actually know what the hell's going on and deep intel. But I'll tell you this, even those people, you hear a lot of like literally opposite stories that just makes zero sense. Absolutely. It's hard to have a strong stance on something when you don't know what's going on. Really, when you don't really actually know what's really actually going on. Because the epidemic here is that this is literally how stupid human beings are, is that we'll watch a 10-second TikTok clip and then already have about somebody talking about something else and already have our mind made up about the situation when we have literally 10 seconds of brain analyzation of what they're even saying. And you've had no part in it. You're just literally hearing somebody talk about something. Like, wake up, people. We can't do that. And in order for you to have some real strong stance, you need to be there. You need to be on the inside. You need to know exactly what's going on. You need to be on the inside with Trump. You need to be on the inside with all the people that are out there and around. You need to be on the inside with. And so unless you're literally on the inside, knowing what's actually going on, you might not want to have a strong stance. Just some advice there. Now, it's okay to have a gut feeling or a thought or I think and make that clear, or it seems like, and just say you don't know what the hell's going on. And then we can have conversations. But this one, more than anything else, is going to be a shit showery of a bunch of people waxing eloquent. Tom, Dick, and Harry hours are just going on already on Twitter. I just listened to a little bit. And it's like, I mean, I've been pretty deep in that world. I was seriously considering joining the Israeli army 12 years ago. And I am completely at a loss on what the hell's going on. So let me just tell you that. So most people that talk about it don't have a damn clue of what's really actually going on. And I'll just tell you, over the past several weeks, the deeper I try to look into it, the more I'm just confused. And so more than ever on this one specifically, that's a long story, Noah. It's a really long story there. I want to get into it right now. Those involving a lot of the human trafficking and just me being out of my mind, outraged as my eyes have been opened to the world of human trafficking is absolutely insane and asinine. So just to go make a difference, I guess we'll leave it at that. Fighting evil. It's like what I'm put here to do on earth is to fight evil. I'm like manic, all or nothing focused on things. It's just like how I'm wired. Um, and so I am so confused. I have heard dozens of deep explanations on both sides of the argument. Pro, people that are pissed at Israel, want to get the hell out of there and just let them burn, because they would burn if we get out. Oh yeah, I know. I was let me say this, Noah. It was actually, I was going to work with the military as one of them. I wasn't officially going to join their military. I was just going to work with them, like beside them. So, yeah, thanks actually for pointing that out. I should stop saying the words of I was strongly considering joining the military. That's really not it. I was strongly considering working with their military. So, so we're about to get unleashed a plethora of Tom, Dick, and Harry opinions about this, and it's going to drive me crazy because I've heard a lot of different sides from a lot of people that appear to be very deeply on the inside, and it's really hard to verify like what you're being told unless I go there myself and deep dive and go meet Benjamin Yahoo and really see it, and then meet Trump and deep dive into the intel and see all what's going on. It's like you can't really you don't know what the hell's going on. It's just how it is, unfortunately. And so we can hopefully, I wish we could know what's going on the inside, but that intel are like national secrets because of Iran. And so it's such a complex thing. I don't know what to think. Hopefully, there's more transparency with these things, but when it involves potential war, which that place is always at war, you're never going to really know what's going on. And then there's psyops. There's so many psyops with this. It is like, especially living here in the United States, it's just psyop central. You can't believe, like, you just can't believe anything. It's so weird. So I'm going to keep trying to deep dive and get a handle on it. But those are my thoughts. It could be a huge mistake. I was honestly I would like to sort of like back out of that whole situation that we spent trillions of dollars. But now it's just like, okay, boom, it's ours. He did it. And it's like, holy hell. Trump has our head spinning like the Tasmanian devil. So, those are my thoughts. Maybe I'll leave this one short. There's so much more going on that we could talk about. The U.S. aid, more's coming out with the U.S. aid stuff. This is the way, Mike Benz. Well, and here's the other reason why. It's not like Trump is like sending in the CIA and the U.S. aid to psyop and literally overthrow regimes. We're getting rid of the garbage and the corruption. And it says, this is speaking volumes. We've already been doing this anyways. We've been toppling governments, overthrowing governments with our tax dollars, creating coups with our tax dollars through U.S. aid and all kinds of nonsense secretly anyways already. And we're already wasting trillions of dollars on this. So now it's just everything's getting out in the open. So whether or not you agree or disagree, it is literally light years better than what it's been otherwise, because maybe we can turn a profit on this thing while creating peace over there. It's like it's not. I do know this much. It's not going to be any worse than what it's already been for decades. It's probably going to be light years better. It's a real low bar here to make things better for our country in regards to the Middle East. We've already been spending trillions of dollars. We've already had just all kinds of, we've been all in already as it is. And Trump's just getting in there and taking care of business. That's my biggest takeaway is like, look, children, all right, no more, no more of this, no more politics. Gaza's ours. We're coming in and we're going to make peace in the Middle East and shut the F up. And it's not like we're going to go spend more money than the trillions of dollars we've already spent there anyways. And there is something to be said to take down totalitarian regimes. When you look at Vietnam versus Korea, North and South Korea, with Vietnam, we essentially had the war was basically over. We won the war. Then we just pulled our military out instead of finishing the job. And as soon as we pulled our military out, North Vietnam went down and slaughtered 25 million men, women, and children. Slaughtered. Just stop and think about this for a second. We pull out of Vietnam when the war was over, like we had it won. We pulled out of Vietnam, and we could go over this a lot. And it became a communist dictatorship overnight, and they just went and slaughtered 25 million freaking people, you guys. In absolute bloodbath, evil. Versus North and South Korea. Okay, we got out, we built a wall, and South Korea's been a great partner of the United States in many fronts. Same with Japan. And now Japan is a thriving, and same with South Korea, have been for decades and decades and decades, thriving countries with freedom and wealth instead of tyranny. And so let's just say we pull out and it's America first, and we're just focusing on America. And then, of course, Israel's going to get destroyed and annihilated. And then we have just third world demonic evil regimes flourishing and creating more problems in the world is all that. And it's still going to probably end up coming to us anyways. Noah, I freaking love you, man. I've been following you. Okay, yeah. Thanks for streaming. Yeah. Yep. Good night. Get some rest, Noah. Appreciate it, man. So I know this much. It can't be any worse than what it already is. We're already over there. We already have trillions of dollars. We're already in the mess. So maybe it's a bad move, but I think it has a real chance to turn out being a profitable thing for us to do with the trade as well. There's like trade routes out there that potentially could help us. But even if it's not a profitable move, it might end up at the end of the day prevent evil totalitarian regimes from who we know many of them out there are just like wanting to overtake the world. So, and I don't know the numbers, even that is, I don't know. So, this has very little downside. The move that Trump just did has very little downside compared. It's almost certainly not going to be any worse than it's already been for us. I'm just talking about for the United States. There's very little downside. We were already knee deep in this mess. And just to leave would probably make that mess worse. Just to get out probably isn't the best solution. So if we're not just going to get out, then it still keeps us knee deep in the mess that it is. So it has almost no downside because we're already there anyways. The upside, however, is it becomes the next Dubai, trade routes, and we actually build wealth from this whole thing. That's the upside. And then peace in the freaking Middle East instead of war and death. And then just imagine if some of these other countries can get their shit together, which, like, I know there's a lot of people in Afghanistan that have been crying out for U.S. help out there to rebuild and actually have democracy. And I don't mean regime changes of the shit we've been doing through U.S. aid. That's not what I mean. Like we did with Ukraine, for example, or Guatemala or Haiti or Cuba. I mean, Japan, like South Korea, like actual rebuilding of healthy democracy would just be huge for us and the world. If that's going on and we've got whatever that's like we basically just took over a territory today. That's what was announced. And Netanyahu's like, yep, yes, please. People were trying to say that like Netanyahu was looking like he has strength over Trump. It's like, you really think that? Netanyahu is a booger in Trump's nose that he can flick away if he wanted. So just to be clear, that's nonsense, if you ask me. Crazy talk. Like Netanyahu has power over Trump. Like, yeah, right. Come on. Really? Like, I think we all know Trump a little better than that, don't we? Right? It's kind of laughable. Trump's just being respectful like he is. That's always how he is, by the way. When he has people come, he's respectful and considerate. The stuff, man, people say is annoying to me. So there's very little downside to this move that Trump made and tons of upside. What else are we going to do? Just get out? Let's just say we get all the way out and we're like, oh, thank God, we can wipe our hands of this mess. Let's just let them take care of their problems. Okay. Right. And let's just hope it just kind of takes care of itself and doesn't affect the whole entire rest of the world. Right. What's the downside there? Think about this for a second. What's the downside to that move versus the upside? The upside is that we can wash our hands of this mess, stop spending money over there for now, and kind of be free of this yoke on our backs that we've had for decades with this freaking Israel Middle East bullshit, always never ending happening. All right. So In our minds, we think we can wash our hands of this until shit gets out of control over there. And it's already bled into Europe. They've already wrecked. I mean, there is the EU and all the migration. I mean, Britain has had their government usurped, and so is Germany. They're gone as it is right now. They're already, it's like too little too late almost. I mean, it's deep and dark over there. So we just let Israel get completely overrun with mass murder. And now it becomes whatever Hamas is like in charge. So just think of the domino effects that could have in Europe. Just a mess. It's a shit show. World War insanity starts up, and we're just trying to like get out of it. That's a lot of downside. And then we're sucked into it anyways. So then there's zero upside if that in that scenario potentially. So I think Trump just made the right move. Could be wrong. I'm all ears. This will be going for years, this debate on how all this is going to shake out, if it was the right move, the wrong move. Tons of upside, no downside, versus just leaving them be. Tons of downside without just really, to be honest, not a ton of upside. If we just get out, there's no upside other than giving us solidarity that we don't have that monkey on our back anymore, which it will just end up. You can almost take it to the bank, become a shit show over there if we get out and wash our hands of Israel and just let Hamas and whatever, all the freaking insanity, we'll have Sharia law going on. I've seen with my own eyes, many women get beheaded for just nothing, just evil. Hey, Bernie Sanders, you want to talk about the billionaires own all the money? The top 1% own whatever, 50% of all the money here or whatever. I don't even know if that's true. Whatever, is it 40%? Top 1% owns like 40 to 50% of all the money over there, my man. The top like 0.00001% owns like 80% of the money. It's outright evil, complete dictatorship, awful. It's like normal in some areas for children just to be tied to a bed as a human sex slave, literally. So, yeah, there's not a whole lot of upside getting out. Just imagining we can just wash our hands of this and it won't blow back on us when all kinds of more death and hell happens and regimes going crazy over there. Now, what we don't want, like we all have PTSD in the recent years of us doing stupid shit with our foreign policy, such as Ukraine, like us, through USAID and the CIA being a huge part of this war between Russia and Ukraine. But that's just corruption. That's not Trump. That's totally different. Apples, oranges. Trump's going to get back to old school. Let's make Japan be awesome and thrive on its own. Let's make South Korea be awesome and thrive on its own. When at the time we had nothing to gain, there was no benefit to us. We just went and helped them, fought the war in Korea. Nothing to gain. And it's thrived. Of course, the damn government gets corrupt again but it's experienced freedom and economic freedom and prosperity for decades and decades and decades. I guess our third option here with Israel is just keep doing what we're doing, which is we're knee deep. We're already spending trillions of dollars. It's just a constant shit show, and it never ends. The wars never end, and all the nonsense never ends. On and on and on and on and on and on and on. What do we had? We had the war in Iraq. Then we had after 9/11, like the war in Afghanistan, and all these wars, all the trillions of dollars. We can just put it to bed. That's what Trump's saying. Just put it to bed. We'll profit from it. Hopefully, we've got our own. This is our territory. It's just like boom, boom, boom. We'll end decades of corruption and evil and bullshit. There's not much downside compared to what we're already doing. All right. I think we just solved all the world's problems. We talked it out. There it is. Start over at 2x speed. Okay. USAID. On Friday, all USAID direct hire personnel will be placed on administrative leave globally, with some exceptions of people that are in the middle of operations. There we go. So there's a lot more I could hit on right now. I'll tell you, I'm gonna get really annoyed really fast at the Tom, Dick, and Harry comments that people make with this issue when they don't know what the hell they're talking about. It's going to get really annoying really fast for me. I want to hear the actual inside facts of what's even gone on. Like, what the hell has even gone on in the past? Let's start there. By going after USA the very first week, the White House has done what they say to do in prison. Find the biggest, baddest, meanest guy in your cell block and sock him square in the jaw day one. Let's go. The deep state is a house of cards, and Trump is the winds of change. Let's go, Alex Jones. Let's go. Whew. Yeah, this is a really good video here. Let's go ahead and play this.
That's not the question. You know. Ms. Powers, did USAID fund coronavirus research in Wuhan, China?
We did not fund gain-of-function research.
That's not the question.
You know.
The question is, did you fund coronavirus research in Wuhan, China?
Before my time, there was the PREDICT program with which you're familiar, which ended in China in 2019.
This is a $200 million program, and the GAO has also identified that some of these grants went directly to the Wuhan Institute of Virology, where there is a suspicion that the lab leak began the pandemic. Has USAID awarded funds to the Academy of Military Medical Sciences in China?
Not to my knowledge, but I'd have to get
I think the answer is once again yes. GAO has found that there have been subawards of NIH money as probably as well as USAID money that went to the Academy of not just medical research, military medical research in China. Now, part of the unknowns here is we can't get the records to look at this. So I've been asking for months and months for records. In September of last year, I wrote Ms. Powers, USAID, a request asking for records from the PREDICT program. These are not classified. These are simply records of scientific research. And we want to read the grants to find out what they were doing and whether the research was dangerous or not.
But they couldn't ever get any responses. Nobody ever worked with them. I hope, are we going to see? Okay, where are we here? That's a minute 19. Oh, wow. This is a full hearing here, or not full, but full questioning. There's something else I thought I was showing you, but this is actually still really good. Let's finish it.
And we want to read the grants to find out what they were doing and whether the research was dangerous or not. The response I got from your agency was USAID will not be providing any documents at this time.
Yep.
They're just unwilling to give documents on scientific grant proposal. We're paying for it. They're asking for $745 million more in money, and we get no response.
Yep.
So 2 weeks ago, the ranking member, Risch, myself, and 25 other Republican senators, unfortunately, so far, signed a letter once again. It's still no response. We're not asking for classified information. We're not asking for anything unusual. 20 million people died around the world. You're supposed to be an agency that cares about the death of people around the world. We, talk about starvation and famine, and 20 million people died from a virus, and you won't give us the basic information about what grants you're funding around the world and who you're funding. Should we be funding the Academy of Military Medical Research in China? They're now off limits. But did we fund them? And who was making the decision? You know who ran the PREDICT program? UC Davis. Have you had any conversations with UC Davis?
So who is making these decisions? All the nonsense that we're hearing from the Democrats like Chuck Schumer and AOC and all these evil people, literally, are that it's a dictatorship. Nope, this is a dictatorship. We didn't even know who the hell was running U.S. aid, U.S. bullshit aid, U.S. deep state aid, U.S. globalist aid. That's dictatorship right there. And so we're saying, hey, we want to see what the hell's going on, right? It's amazing how far the lefties will go here. It's amazing how far these politicians will go in order to hide where our tax dollars are going. That's literally, they are kicking and screaming. They do not want us to know where our tax dollars are going.
Davis about research in China and whether it was advisable.
So again, to set the record straight, first of all, the PREDICT program.
Okay, you just hear a bunch of BS. I can't even take it anymore. So much nonsense. I'm going to bookmark that in a folder and come back to it. Actually, let's just put it there. Okay. So today, POTUS signed a national security presidential memorandum restoring maximum pressure on the government of the Islamic Republic of Iran, denying Iran all paths to nuclear weapon and countering Iran's malign influence abroad. That's AKA in Europe. The nonsense going on is insane. This is great. We got to have Tulsi Gabbard. Let's go.
Unfortunately, is at an all-time low. I'm honored and grateful to President Trump for his trust and confidence in nominating me to serve our country as the Director of National Intelligence at a time when trust in the intelligence community, unfortunately, is at an all-time low. Chuck Schumer admitted a few years ago, quote, "You take on the intelligence community, they have 6 ways from Sunday at getting back at you." For too long, faulty, inadequate, or weaponized intelligence have led to costly failures and the undermining of our national security and God-given freedoms enshrined in the Constitution. The American people elected Donald Trump as their president not once but twice, and yet the FBI and intelligence agencies were politicized by his opponents to undermine his presidency and falsely portray him as a puppet of Putin. Title I of FISA was used illegally to obtain a warrant to spy on Trump campaign advisor Carter Page, using a Clinton campaign-funded false dossier as their so-called evidence. Biden campaign advisor Tony Blinken was the impetus for the 51 former senior intelligence officials' letter dismissing Hunter Biden's laptop as disinformation specifically to help Biden win the election. Former DNI James Clapper lied to this committee in 2013, denying the existence of programs that facilitated the mass collection of millions of Americans' phone and internet records, yet was never held accountable. Under John Brennan's leadership, the CIA abused its power to spy on Congress, to dodge oversight, lied about doing it until he was caught, and yet has never been held responsible. Personally, just 24 hours after I criticized Kamala Harris and her nomination, I was placed on a secret domestic terror watch list called Quiet Skies. Sadly, there are more examples. The bottom line is this: this must end. President Trump's re-election is a clear mandate from the American people to break this cycle of failure, end the weaponization and politicization of the intelligence community, and begin to restore trust in those who've been charged with the critical task of securing our nation. If confirmed, I look forward to working with you to address these issues.
Woo! Let's go, baby. Arrests happening. All right. This is pretty good. Okay. The CIA. So the Trump administration is offering the entire CIA workforce a buyout that includes 8 months of pay and benefits.
Quit their jobs and receive about Fox News alert. The Wall Street Journal is reporting the CIA has reportedly just offered a buyout to its entire workforce. Everyone in the agencies telling employees late today they can quit their jobs and receive about 8 months of pay and benefits. It's a part of Trump's push to downsize the federal government. More as we get it. Fox News alert. The Wall
How
Street
about
Journal.
that? Like, so the CIA, it's when the U.S. aid is doing stuff, it's through the CIA oftentimes. So, yeah, he's going for Rushmore. That's right. Trump's going to be on Mount Rushmore, and the lefty lunatics are going to absolutely lose their mind. Let's go. Yeah, President Trump will never stop working to ensure historic and lasting peace. Let's go. That's right. So President Trump, okay, he says the U.S. will take over the Gaza Strip and be responsible for dismantling all of the dangers, exploded bombs, and other weapons on the site, create an economic development that will supply unlimited numbers of jobs and housing. All right, let's go. Yep. Yeah, so the U.S. Navy has now has surveillance ships off the coast of Mexico. There are 3 Navy ships. They are not in Mexico's territorial waters, which are 12 nautical miles away. The 3 ships are 32 nautical miles. Okay, it's near the cartel territory. Interesting. Oh, yeah. I agree. Trump's proposed USA takeover of the Gaza Strip may sound out of the box, but it's brilliant, historic, and the only idea I've heard in 50 years that has a chance of bringing security, peace, and prosperity to this troubled region. I agree. Mike Benz has been on fire in fuego. Is nature finally healing, Mike Benz? Yes, it is. Let's go. Yeah. I'll be posting a chart of the corruption that Doge is unraveling of the Obama Foundation, and it is absolutely mind-blowing. The corruption of the Obama Foundation. It's all coming out. What's hidden in darkness will be brought to light. And this is due time. And it is beautiful. This is the most beautiful. That verse was made for this moment as what's been in darkness being brought into the light. My ex-wife tweeted me that or texted me that verse tonight, that Bible verse. Okay. All right. So, yep, all kinds of craziness going on. Going to get to a couple more things I wanted to go over with you guys. Biden spent billions promoting illegal immigration. Musk. It's all coming out, baby. Let's go. Huh. Under President Trump, this gal has been on fire. She has been the bomb. Let's go. I might just turn on those notifications. She's been legit. She's been phenomenal. Rep Marjorie Taylor Greene. Let's go. She's been an absolute badass. Totally phenomenal job there. Geopolitical bombshell. Trump threatens to totally obliterate Iran after signing executive order placing massive sanctions on the Islamic State. Alex Jones responds by issuing an emergency deep state assassination plot, warning DJT. And then you know what Trump said? Yeah, go ahead. You try and kill me, you guys are going to get blown to smithereens. And they believe that. Palestine's okay. Palestinians. What he said was, it'll be a beautiful place. Gaza will be a beautiful place for the Palestinians instead of a demolition site. And I believe it. I believe it. So apparently Donald Trump had a phone conference with Chinese Xi Jinping. That's probably interesting. And okay, the U.S. Postal Service suspends packages from China and Hong Kong until further notice. How about that? What's going on here with China? Temporary service disruption. That's interesting. Update: Washington has engaged in very constructive talks with Russia and Ukraine, U.S. President Trump said. Mike Benz, who's been in fuego. Gee, that U.S. aid thing touched a nerve, huh? All these people are just screaming from the rooftops to not have the American taxpayers know where our tax money's going. Like, who wants that, right? We don't want... American taxpayers don't really want to know where our tax dollars are going. Come on, Elon, you freaking tyrant. We don't want to know. We don't want to know, the corruption going on in our government. Nothing to see here. Yeah, the terrorist part is insane. Okay, this is interesting. Days before Elon Musk and Doge started cleaning out USAID, they received a scathing report from their own inspector general that the agency's management created serious vulnerabilities by handing out billions of tax dollars to overseas countries and groups without fully vetting for terrorists and fraudsters, or demanding transparency from recipients of Americans from America, like from the people we're working with. And there it is right there. A memorandum, a scathing report. And the terrorist funding part, notice how a scathing report from their own inspector general that the agency's management created serious vulnerabilities by handing out billions of tax dollars to overseas countries and groups without fully vetting for terrorists. Like, okay, yep, we're funding. Like, it's a fact. USAID has been funding the cartels and human sex trafficking with Guatemala. It's, and everywhere else. I disagreed with Owen Schroyer's take on this big time. Part of the reason why I even did this video. So, alert, you're fired. USAID personnel are receiving a notice placing them on permanent administrative leave. Let's go. It's like Christmas every day these days here. Let's go. Oh, hey, I thought I was the first person that said welcome Dubai 2.0. I said that first. I'm going to take that. I said that live when it was still settling in that Gaza is a part of the United States. You cannot make this stuff up, man. Pam Bondi. So check this out. It's official. Pam Bondi is the 87th Attorney General of the United States. I thought that was already done. Like, what's going on? Like, I thought today was RFK's. This is taking forever to get them through, but praise God. Hey, guess who? There's one Democrat that voted for Pam Bondi, by the way. He's our boy. We're hoping he comes to the light. We're hoping he comes out of darkness and into the light. And his name, he's a Democrat from, I call him the hoodie. He's the hoodie from Pennsylvania. Let's go. One Democrat voted for Bondi. Let's go. Let's hope he also votes for RFK and Tulsi Gabbard. Let's go. Oh, this was so amazing. Yep. Trump deals another devastating blow to the globalist world government system. 47 just signed a powerful executive order pulling out of the UN Human Rights Council, which, you know, when they use words like Human Rights Council, that means anti-human rights. It's everything's always the opposite. Diversity, equity, and inclusion actually means racism if you're white. You know, I realized today, I know why. I think I know why the left is so against Israel and they're always like pro Hamas and pro Palestine, which is kind of weird. It's one thing to call out Netanyahu, Benjamin Netanyahu, for doing shady things, but it's a whole nother thing to like be pro Palestine. Okay. But I think this is why the left hates whites. It's kind of that simple. And Israel is more white than Hamas. So by default, they hate everything that's white. We'll go with that, even though they will kill you if you're gay, for example. But gays for Palestine, you know, it's like the biggest oxymoron nonsense. Okay. What's going on? The world is looking to the United States for leadership, and President Trump is delivering lasting peace. Let's go. Who's this? North Texas. Former mayor. I guess we'll give her a follow. Let's go. Rick Scott. Hamas terrorists murdered babies and burned people alive. They're evil monsters. Thank God we finally have a president who's committed to standing with Israel and working with Netanyahu on how to support their efforts to get terrorists out of Gaza and bring every hostage home. Rick Scott. So, Florida senator. I still, trust but verify on some of these things. What just happened there? The U.S. Army had its best recruiting number in 12 years. Wow. In January 2025, in December 2024, the U.S. Army had its best recruiting in 12 years. In January 2025, the Army hit its best recruiting number in 15 years. Let's go. Like, this is how it should just be a clear tell for all of us to see what's really going on with this DEI nonsense that happened in our military. Is they were purposefully trying to weaken America and destabilize our country. That's the only takeaway you can have, because they can't possibly be that stupid to put this nonsense in the military and in our country. And there's no other reason other than to steal, kill, and destroy us. And in many cases, they're not even shy about it. They'll just come right out and say, this isn't our country. Wow, I feel exhausted. There was more I was wanting to get to. So, yeah, this U.S. aid nonsense garbage, it funds, it requires approval of senior hires, admits it contributed to regime change in 5 to 6 nations, proof that U.S. aid turned foreign counterinsurgency tactics against the American people. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And George Soros worked in tandem. Absolutely. Oh, this was J6 hoax news. A few people told me this, but I had to see it for myself. The biggest con man, not only in J6 space, but perhaps the entire law professions, claims he won every J6 case based on presidential pardons he had nothing to do with and said would not happen. And he's raising money off of it. I guess, was this guy like defending the J6 people? And now he's trying to take credit for freeing them? Yeah, I saw that. This is just wild. All right, guys. Love you. Peace out. I'll be back again tomorrow. If not tonight. Let's go. I'm just right back to digging deeper. More news. It's always coming. It's moving fast. We're here for it. We're here to fight, to destroy the deep state, the corruption in our government, and bring freedom and prosperity. I mean, it's that simple. Anyone against this, at this point, you're just a lunatic. It's just nuts. If you're against what Trump's doing with all, I mean, if you're against what Doge is doing, he's just outright, you know what? There's something I do want to show. One last thing. Check this out. Yeah, this is really crazy right here. We'll come back to that. This one.
And waiting, keep waiting and waiting and waiting for Democrats to start fucking redeeming themselves. And every single time I turn around, they make it fucking worse. Just 100%, no turnabout rate, nothing. It is just going downhill for the Democrats, dude. Can you please tell me, if someone, right, robbed a fucking bank, okay, let's talk about a hypothetical before we get into the real shit real quick. If someone robbed a bank, someone watched the security footage, saw who robbed the bank, told you who robbed the bank, you caught who robbed the bank, are you going to be mad at the person that robbed the fucking bank or the person that told you were being robbed? Okay, that's what's going on with Elon Musk right now.
Yep.
For those of you that don't understand, okay, Elon Musk was hired for the Department of Government Efficiency. What does the Department of Government Efficiency do? What is its main number one goal? To make sure that our government is running efficiently, dumbasses. And here you are, literally trying to shoot the fucking messenger because he is showing you that a lot of our money is being wasted on shit that is not needed. What type of fucking transgender opera do you need overseas? What type of all of these DEI inclusivity programs do you fucking need to be spending our money on overseas? And instead of being mad at the people that are stealing our fucking money and spending it 100% irresponsibly, you're mad at the man who told you you were being ripped the fuck off. You are a fucking cult member. Plain and simple. There is no saving for you, okay? Every single time you guys continue to peddle these lies, you are screaming more and more that you're a cult member. And the more and more you do it, the more and more the moderate Democrats are going to fucking leave you. Keep going. Keep fucking going. Show your utter stupidity. It's what you've been doing for 4 years. Keep it up. The rest of us are happy that we found out what we already knew, that we were being robbed. It must be shocking for you to deal with facts, but they're going to keep coming out. Our government has wasted billions upon billions upon billions of fucking dollars for shit that is not important to American citizens.
Trillion.
You're mad at Elon Musk and not at your fucking representatives? What are you, fucking retarded? You have to be.
Trillions of dollars. And here's what I'm noticing a lot of people aren't even talking about how our dollar is not, and it's trillions of dollars is waste. I mean, that's just what it is. People aren't even talking about how U.S. aid worked in tandem. Like, we funded the cartels, we funded human sex trafficking, we funded the overthrow of several different regimes, we funded freaking COVID-19. Hello. Like, it's one thing to, I mean, I share the sentiment, like, amen, about what she talked about. We're using our money on 99.9, to be generous, of our tax dollars are completely fraudulent. I'm just convinced. We don't need any of this nonsense. We need to gut out almost probably 70 to 80% of all of the government departments, probably 70 to 80% of all the government staff, at least. Oh, yeah, this guy.
Culture.
Abolish.
Keep them or abolish them. Keep them or abolish them. Department of Agriculture.
Abolish.
Gone.
Man.
Department of Commerce.
Abolish.
Gone. Department of Defense.
Keep.
Keep it. Department of Education.
Abolish.
Gone. Energy.
Abolish.
Housing.
Except that energy ties in with the military.
Well, then we shove it under defense.
That's
The little
right.
bit that handles the nuclear,
Right. That ought to go under
plutonium and
defense.
so forth goes under defense, but we abolish the rest of it. Health and Human Services.
There is room for some public health activities to prevent contagion, such a thing as, for example.
So you'd keep the National Institutes of Health, say, and the Center for Disease Control down
not
in
the
Atlanta?
National Institute.
Oh,
No,
no?
those are mostly research agencies. No, that's a question of whether the government should be involved in financing research.
And the answer is no.
Well, that's a very complicated issue, and it's not an easy answer with respect to that.
We'll eliminate half of the Department of Health
Yeah,
and Human
something
Services?
like that.
Okay, one half. There we go. Housing and Urban Development?
Out.
Oh, didn't even pause over that one. Department of the Interior?
Oh, well, but housing and urban development has done an enormous amount of harm. My God, if you think of the way in which they've destroyed parts of cities under the rubric of eliminating slums.
Jack Kemp.
You
was-
know,
Go ahead.
you remember Martin Anderson wrote a book on the federal bulldozer describing the effect of the urban development. There have been many more dwelling units torn down in the name of public housing that have been built.
Jack Kemp has proposed selling to the current inhabitants of public housing their unit, their townhouse, their apartment, for $1 a piece, and just shifting the ownership to
And
the people who live in.
if you got rid of the Department of Housing and Urban Development, it would be worth doing that.
All right, done. That's gone. Department of the Interior, your beloved National Park Service.
Well, given that the problem there is, you first have to sell off all the land that the government owns. But that's what you should do.
But it could be done pretty
It
quickly.
could be done.
The whole
You
series of
should do
auctions.
that. There's no reason for
All right.
government to own. The government now owns something like 1/3 of all the land in the country.
And that's too much.
The government owns 1/3 of all the land in the country. Like, it really that much? That's insane.
Should go down to zero.
Should go down to, well, not entirely zero. They ought to own the land on which government buildings are.
Okay, terrific. Department of Justice,
Oh, yes.
keep that one.
Keep that one.
Labor,
No.
gone. State,
Keep.
keep it. Transportation,
Gone.
gone. The Treasury,
You have to keep it to collect taxes.
all right, collect taxes
For now. Haha, let's get rid of the IRS, baby.
through the Treasury. Veterans Affairs,
You can regard the veteran affairs as a way of paying essentially salaries for services of those who have been in the armed force, but you ought to be able to get rid of it.
you should be able to
by
pay it off.
Pay it off.
pay off lump sums, perhaps,
That's right.
and just get rid of it. From 14 departments down to
To
four
its
and a
basic
half,
fundamental
4.5.
functions. What are its fundamental functions? Preserve the peace, defend the country,
All right.
provide a mechanism whereby individuals can adjudicate their disputes. That's the Justice
Department.
Protect individuals from being coerced by other individuals. The police function.
Right.
And now, this is both the central government and the state and local governments. The police function is primarily local and central.
Right.
And those are the fundamental functions of government, in my opinion.
There we go. Flashback Milton Friedman effortlessly laying out the blueprint for Doge. So, man, we saw this earlier. It was so good. Joe is done. So this is interesting. You ever wondered where the money goes? Billions of dollars are spent on government grants, charities, and other organizations every year. We're connecting the dots between government grants, charities, and drawing connections to expose where the money flows. We found some interesting connections, and we've made the data available for you to explore. See what you can find. And if something is interesting, please let me know on X. So that's an interesting website they're putting together. I also heard a rumor that we'll be able to see in real time. This guy kind of hinted towards this on the Alex with an interview on Alex Jones, another guy that's using AI to dissect everything that Elon's doing and Doge is doing. And he also talked about, all the government spending, and he talked about the voting as well, because he's got all the proof of the voting fraud as well, and how they stole Wisconsin, he said, and that he's going to fix the voting. And also he's creating like the technology to show us in real time where our government tax dollars are going. Full transparency. That sounds cool. Super duper cool. All right. Peace out. Love you guys. See you tomorrow.